think about these things. When I get it to the wall, have you ever kind of got it to the wall and then you're like, oh, there's a little bit extra travel, there's a little bit extra movement right there. What we just found is a travel pass wall, prep pass wall, whatever you want to call it, slack, movement, whatever it is, it's movement post that wall position. So in the academies, in the military, they're teaching you get it to the wall, and then when the sights are aligned, slow, steady pressure to the rear until the gun goes off, right? Allowing the gun to do as it's designed is an important forethought you need to have into pressing that trigger off. But when you're doing it, in order to not disrupt the sights, I also need to detach my command to go bang. So when the sights are aligned or the dot is settled on target, it's acceptable on target, I don't want to say now, because what did I just do with all my fingers? Squeeze, right? I tense up because anticipation is actually a fucking thing. So we understand that it's a human behavior. We build those techniques. Now we need to alleviate the command of telling that gun what to do, putting more human error, more human impulse into it. Now we just want to let it do as it's designed by taking it through the process in which we are educated on placement, wall. We prep straight to wall upon presentation to target. From there, we now find what I call the limit of advance. The movement, the pressure, the prep pass wall, whatever you want to call it. It's my length of press. So LOA, where the hell is that? How do you find it? You break your gun down, you unload, show clear, and you actually find where that limit of advance is. So on this SIG, I'm gonna be broken down and I'm just gonna watch the actual execution of the shot. So for placement, if I take my finger gun out and I curl from 2 joints, where is the actual pad of my finger? It's pointing over my dominant sight shoulder. So it's actually putting left and right influence on that lever, which is called the trigger, which is now taking the sights left. Now I'm wondering why my shit's all low and left. It's because I'm breaking triggers like this, and I'm also curling that finger around. So what I like to do is find that placement. I was working with the guys with big hands here. I build my grip from the trigger back. So from placement, which is from the tip to that first joint, cut it in half. From there, build the grip back, and then isolate from one joint, one lever position straight back. Now I'm staring at the pad of my finger as I execute that shot, pressing the trigger back to the rear. The only moving variable is the trigger, and it's only being moved by 1 finger, not 4. All right, so once I find that placement there, I'm now going to slowly, from placement to wall, find it. All right, and I can do that on presentation to target. From there, watch the movement. You guys see that giant leap? And has the sear been disengaged yet? Now it has, right? So if I don't find that giant leap, and I just say wall, sights are aligned, now that diving forward, that anticipation within that extra movement of the trigger post the wall position, that's where that's coming from. All right, being educated about your process is really important, because now most likely you guys have been used to it. You guys already understand how to prep past that wall position. So when you prep to the wall, then you prep past wall, and then you freeze, right? I'm now at my limit of advance, which is 1 movement post the wall, bang, right? Now, what if I told you the resetting of this gun is not at the wall position, it's actually at that limit of advance position? All right, you guys are seeing that right there. All I'm doing is reducing the amount of pressure I have exerted on the trigger so that it's resetting at the LOA, so there's minimal movement of length of disruption within the sights on the follow through shots, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however many. But if I pin it back to the rear, gun's ready, who's holding it back? Me. I reduce the amount of pressure, get it to the wall. Now I have to pull all that slack back out. It's just like a 2-stage trigger. If you pin it back to the rear, you now have to take it through both stages. To where if you reset it at that LOA, which on a 2-stage trigger is the actual wall itself, my 2011s, 1911s, same exact design, right? What you guys will be finding is that by resetting at the LOA, you have less disruption, more consistency on rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however, so on, so forth, however many. But it's not just the skillful manipulation of executing without disrupting the sights for the first round, but resetting them so that rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5 also have that minimalized disruption seen within that journey of pressing that trigger, resetting the trigger, pressing that trigger, all right? Far forward as your giant bare paws will allow it, right? Okay. So from here, I'm seeing a bunch of frame. Don't let this thumb and this backstop for recoil, don't let that relax. That is where all of the recoil management's coming from. Drive those elbows down and in line with the path of energy. Go ahead. That's why it's an emergency reload. If I run dry and I get light reduced recoil, if that happens ever when I'm trying to prevent myself from dying, or you're trying to protect the communities that you serve, that happens. You need to finger straighten off the trigger, insert, send home, and get that gun back up and running as fast as you can. As soon as I feel that light and reduced recoil, is my intent changed? Do I no longer intend to continue to shoot somebody that's shooting back at me? No. And because my intent is remaining the same, my finger is staying straight and off the trigger, but the weapon is staying off safe. The reason being, when I come up, I fire one, and all of a sudden, bang. I fire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all of a sudden, I get that light and reduced recoil. Finger straight off the trigger, reload, insert, send home, come back out, find trigger, go bang. If I change the intent, which is essentially what I see a lot of people doing, is I come up, get that light and reduced recoil, they put the weapon on safe, they then drop the mag, they then insert, they come back out. You've added a step of useless information. You took time to add a simple, a complicated step to a simple process here. It's a speed reload. It's an emergency reload. Now, if my intent has changed from moving off of X, this is a totally different position, right? This is X. I come up, I fire, I feel the light reduced recoil. Shit. Now I move, and as I'm moving, I'm trying to get from target 8 to target 14. Now is my weapon back on safe?
Yeah.
Yeah, because my intent's to move. But if my intent is to stay at the position of trouble, reload, and continue to burn you down, if my intent hasn't changed, the weapon safety rule is what? Keep your weapon on safe until the intent is to fire. My intent is to continue to fire. The weapon stays on fire.